Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. Um, yeah, quick turnaround. Game 2, Big Ten play against a very, very underrated and very, very good Iowa Hawkeye team. Coming off of Rutgers, I thought it was our best performance on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the defensive numbers I thought were a little bit skewed, but I thought we did a pretty solid job there. And then offensively, I love the way we played, the assists, the efficiency, the turnovers were down. And, I really thought we had the opportunity to kind of step on them and put the game out of reach. It's something we have not been doing. And I thought we were able to do that, but we didn't spend a lot of time talking about that game. We kind of moved on from that right into to Iowa. Iowa's really good. This is a much different Iowa team than any of us are used to seeing. Obviously, a Luke Goode dominated team in the past with really good wings and Frederick and Wieskamp. Now this team is different. This is as athletic a team as there is in the Big Ten. This team is, Bohannon is still there. Seems like he's been there for forever. And again, he hasn't changed. He's still the Big Ten's all-time leading three-point shooter for a reason. But this is a team that is extremely, extremely athletic. The twins, both Murrays are scary athletes. The Perkins kid really started to emerge last year in the Big Ten tournament. He is playing terrific. He's a 6'4", very strong, 215-pound athlete who's playing great. And then Joe Toussaint has really stepped into a leadership role on that team. Is playing with tremendous confidence. He's an elite defender. And then I think that, the emergence of Patrick McCaffery, 6'9" slasher athlete, gives them length, gives them athleticism. This team's maybe not as big and as inside oriented, but they are electric in transition. They're pressing. And a team that is maybe as potent offensively as they were last year. They're just doing it in some different ways.
Brad, looks like Keegan Murray is expected to be back tomorrow. Is that your expectation?
I would expect that, yes. I always expect guys that are listed out to come back and play against us.
And because Geo Baker wasn't there, the second game in a row where you have an interesting prep, how does that change what you do in practice?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're planning on him playing. Reading Fran's comments after the Purdue game, he thought he would play in the Purdue game, so it just made common sense that he would be ready for our game on Monday, being at home and it's early in the year. You're trying to get guys as healthy as you can, yet it's a Big Ten game. So, he'll be ready. He's had 2020 games. He's electric in the open court. He's that guy that, he's what a pro looks like today. He can go get it off the glass. He can take it coast to coast. He can dunk on you. He's finishes with either hand. He's shooting it not as well as his brother, but he's shooting it at a high clip. So we're expecting him to play and be a big part of our game plan, trying to stop it.
Thanks.
Hey, Brad, after the game against Rutgers on Friday night, you mentioned how Trent and DeMonte, the first thing they said in the locker room after the game was, "We haven't beaten Iowa in Iowa City." What do you think it means to those two guys to be able to go in there and get a win on Monday night if you are able to come out with one?
No, I mean, I think I don't think we put any more value on any one game. There's 20 of them. And yet there's little sidebars all season long, which you try to you try to eclipse, you try to do something that maybe you haven't done. You set little goals for every game. And that's one that those guys have talked about. And we were able to do some positive things in terms of winning on the road last year. And this year's a new team, a new challenge. And Iowa City's been one of those places that we haven't conquered yet.
And what is it about playing in Iowa City that's difficult? Obviously, it's an interesting arena and whatnot, but what is it about that environment that makes it difficult to go in there and come out with a win?
Really good coach, really good players. And that's, I mean, it's hard to win in those places. It's hard to win in any venue when you've got a really good coach and you've got really good players on the other team. This team, I'm telling you, is going to compete for a championship. Iowa's that good. And, they've just reshifted. They got great depth. And this is a really good Iowa team.
Hey, Coach, you talked about Coleman's defensive upside to go from Harper to Keegan Murray to have Race Thompson in the league, Diabate at Michigan. How important is he just knowing that EJ Liddell as well, like the guys in this league at the 4 spot and being able to have an answer for them with his length and athleticism?
Yeah, it's probably the position we've got the most pros this year in our league. And they happen to be dominant players and we've got to be able to throw different looks at them. And that's my, it's been my point of emphasis all year with him, Derek, is knowing what's in front of us and knowing what we're going to see in the league. And in conference play this year, we've got tremendous talent at that spot. And we've got to be able to neutralize that the best we can.
Thanks.
Hey, Brad, we're going to talk to Luke here in a couple minutes, I guess, after you. What stood out about him as a freshman? It just seems really at the front of a lot of things, which stands out on a team that has so many veterans and seasoned guys.
Yeah, Luke's unique. And I say this because he's got unrivaled leadership abilities. I mean, he's not afraid. He has always been a leader. You can tell, you see his quarterback come out in him from his high school football days. But he has always been a leader. And to do that, you got to be unafraid. And you got to be unafraid when you say something. You got to be unafraid when you play. He is ultra competitive. That's made him, he wants to run the fastest mile. He wants to make the most threes in a row. He wants to make the most free throws. He is an ultra competitor, and that's helped him stand out early, and it's helped him make the adjustment. Then when you put his abilities with his IQ and those leadership qualities, you've got a guy you've been able to push fast forward and hit it a few times, and it's expedited his growth pretty quickly.
What has that on-court growth been since you first got him in the summer?
Yeah, just like anybody else, like any other freshman, trying to figure out who you can guard and how to guard and how physical it is. And maybe some of the shots you get offensively in high school, you don't get now, but most of his growth has been on the defensive end. He's shown he's a capable scorer and shooter. That's really stood out from day one.
And sorry, if I could get one more, is there an update on Andre's availability for tomorrow?
Same status.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Brad, just, after Friday's game against Rutgers, just what on maybe both sides, offensive, defense, do you see as repeatable that this team can maybe easily keep doing?
Well, most of it's not the physical part, Scott. Most of it's the mental part. That's what I want to push repeat on is I thought our approach, I thought our focus, I always challenge our guys to never play the opponent, to play against themselves and to play the game the right way. We had some lapses, when we were up 30, but those anger me, those frustrate me. And I think that's the way we've got to try to approach the game from a mental standpoint 20 times in league play. And those are the things I thought we were focused. I thought we were dialed in. I hope our effort is never an issue. But, I thought we played really hard. And so the mental side of it's what I'm challenging our guys to is, you've got 20 of these and you take a mental nap and you lose. It doesn't matter who you play. And so that's what I want to try to duplicate again and again and again.
It's not counting last year because the schedule is so different, but the Big Ten's had 4 years, I suppose, of these early conference games. I'm just curious, kind of what you think about it now, maybe compared to year one when you got here, and maybe what the Big Ten has accomplished with these early games.
Oh, I totally understand why we play them. I mean, we're sitting there kind of in a lull between the end of football regular season, between the bowls. I understand the early games, and then I think it's important that we understand that you have to play them early to play 20, to not just have a mosh pit of games where you then throw safety and you throw travel and you throw fatigue late in the year. And I think that's what this does. I think they're harder to prepare for. You don't know as much about your team in early December, but I understand why we're playing them, and the importance and the relevance of these games is huge, because you sure don't want to start 0-2 going into January knowing you got 18 in front of you.
Right. Thanks, Brad.
Brad, I go back to the last game you played at Carver Hawkeye, and in a game they won, Joe Toussaint is shooting for an hour after the game while we're writing, because he realizes, to use your language, you just dorked him and kind of backed off him. I'm curious if the scouting report on him has drastically changed over the last couple of years, and you have to play him different.
Absolutely. He's I remember seeing Joe in high school. He was that guy that had the reputation of the guy who can't shoot. I'm not saying he's Bohannon shooting it, but he's drastically improved. And he's the thing now is he's a willing 3-point shooter. He's not backing off of that. Now, when I say that, he is elite in the paint. Elite. And he's got great touch. He's got great strength, so he knocks guys off and can get it off. And I think 84% of his field goals are in that paint area this year. But he's very much improved, and he's truly a menace on the defensive end.
Are you seeing a difference with Iowa this year simply because they don't have Luka? And I'm asking maybe specifically on the defensive end, maybe a more intensity and maybe a more a grittiness to them on that end of the floor because they have to get stops now?
They're pressing. They're trying to force turnovers. And let's not make a mistake. They're gifted offensively now. They're averaging 97 points a game. They're playing fast. They're pressing for a reason. Do they have a great interior presence? Big Kid's pretty good. They can throw some guys at you. They're doubling constantly in the post, but their strength is that press and then what they do on the offensive end, because they've got a ton of weapons on the offensive end. And it's amazing they lose 2 pros and another transfer. And in a lot of ways, I think this team's better offensively.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Brad, kind of expanding on that a little bit. You called Iowa underrated and you called them a contender. I think people, when Garza graduated, thought maybe they wouldn't be a contender. How impressed are you by what Fran's done with this kind of transformation on the fly from Garza ball to explosive athletic ball?
I think the one thing I've always appreciated about Fran and his staff, they do an incredible job of evaluating and playing to their strengths, and their strengths lie on the offensive end. And I mean, you're talking about now development. I mean, Luka Garza was a backup on his AAU team, now National Player of the Year. I think Murray's only other offer may have been Western Illinois. And now he's going to be a lottery pick. So it's a style, it's a system, the ability to evaluate to their system and style. It's very impressive. And then he's done it by building depth. And, Toussaint was a guy that, as a freshman was just okay. And now all of a sudden, he's stayed the process and he's grown and he's become a really a good player. We saw the emergence of Perkins last year. Now all of a sudden that guy's leading them and scoring, in their last ball game. And, both of his sons are good players. So it's been a very impressive job of evaluating and filling to their system and what they do. And it's my hat's off. They do a great job.
Coach Bruce Weber used to always say he liked to recruit football players. And you brought up Goode's quarterback background. Do you have stories of quarterbacks you've recruited? Or, that leadership at such a young age at a quarterback is special. That it really is kind of a neat trait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unique today because nobody plays two sports anymore. We've become so individualized. Kids in the 5th grade are, selecting one sport they play. So it gets harder and harder to find them. I've always been a big advocate of play them all. And, we become so specialized. It's really hard to find guys like that anymore. But, Luke has got a grit. He's got an intelligence. So I call it a lack of fear. He took a shot the other night that I wasn't ultimately pleased with because it was really quick in the clock, but it's the shot he makes and he's not afraid to take it. And, that's going to play really well for him and for the rest of his career.
Thank you.
Brad, apart from Bello, what's the injury and illness status for the guys who've been out or been sick?
Getting closer. So we've got active participants in practice now, so that's good. But to say we're all back to 100%, we're probably like everybody else in the country, Rob, that's got a few lingering things. So, but we got active guys in practice again.
And Trent specifically?
Trent's back in practice, and Trent's going to gut up and play through anything. So to say he's 100%, he's gaining ground on that, but he'll be good for 35 minutes tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
I guess as a follow-up to that, I know you had the one practice last Saturday that you basically just kind of wiped out, but over the last 2 weeks, how different have your practices looked? Maybe not being able to have everybody or do all that you want or needed to do.
Yeah, again, it's the thing I struggle with is it's November and early December. It's get better time. And so, some of those years in the years past, we could really grind on guys and get better and dive into certain things and have, practices where we stressed them. And we're getting there. We had a couple of those last week before the Rutgers game. Yet, you can't cut off your hand to spite your face. You got to be able to go try to win a game. So we're trying to manage that the best we can, Scott.
Thank you.
Coach, your last couple of opponents haven't been forcing turnovers a whole lot defensively. To go back to facing a more aggressive style, a pressing style, are you more confident in being able to handle that maybe than you were 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, and we'll find out. But it's crazy. Our turnovers, even when we faced teams that pressed us, weren't against the press. We went the whole game against Marquette, never turned it over against press. Our turnovers just came in the half court and lack of execution and illegal screens and travels and half court things. It's not where we were throwing the ball to the other team. And so I love this team because we can pass it. And, I think that we've seen a lot of pressure. We haven't seen, maybe 40 minutes of it like Iowa's going to play it. But again, I think it's something that we're comfortable with. And I think we're settling in the half court a little bit.
Thank you.
Is that everything for Coach?
Thank you.
Okay, stand by. I'm going to transition locations and we'll get going with Luke. Okay, we're ready to get started. Can you guys still hear me okay? We good
Yeah.
audio wise?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. I'm going to turn it over to you for Luke.
Luke, how is the reality of your freshman season playing out compared to your expectations before you arrived?
It's a lot like what I expected, to be honest. Coming into the year, I give credit to my parents just on my mindset coming into the season. They kind of told me not to expect anything, kind of go in there and just work hard, do what you need to do every day in practice to make your team better, and make yourself better. So knowing that and having that mindset going into the season, just not to expect anything and just work hard for the team. The workouts, the practices, the season is kind of what I expected.
And putting basketball aside, campus life, living in a dorm, being away from home, all that, riding the MTD, what's it like?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Obviously, you don't see your family every day, don't get to see your friends, all that stuff. The lifestyle is just different. You don't have your parents helping you out with things and just being able to talk to them every day. But having great teammates and great friends like Pods and RJ, who I live with, it kind of makes life here easy. The teammates that I get to hang out with every day, they make it really enjoyable. And I don't miss home as much when I'm with those guys.
All right, thanks.
Hey, good morning, Luke. Coach was just speaking about some of the leadership traits that you've exhibited so far. How does that feel to you to have your coach have that type of confidence in you at this stage of your career?
Yeah, it means a lot whenever you get any type of leadership role on any team, no matter how old you are, no matter what position you're in. It means that you got trust from not only your coaches, but your guys. If your coach can put trust in you and faith in you, then they know that the teammates on the team kind of look to you that way as well. So just having that responsibility and kind of that role already as a freshman, it means a lot to me. I take pride in that, and I'm glad that I can help my team in any way possible.
Thank you.
Hey, Luke, on a team like this with all of these veterans and fifth-year guys, how did you find your voice? It just seems to me like it would maybe be a big step for a freshman, just seeing what's around them to kind of find the voice that you found.
Yeah, another thing my parents told me to go in was to stay in your lane. Growing up, I always played football. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with that, and I was always the quarterback. So having that leadership, those leadership qualities already before coming in, that's something that I tried to bring to Illinois. People always tell me that I'm a pretty good leader, so I try and bring that to wherever I am. Try and lead the guys as much as possible, and do my role in that sense. And I think that's something that I'll continue to try to do, and just be that teammate for the guys to my left and right.
Have some of those veterans helped you amplify that? It just seems like Kofi seems really willing to let you speak and be kind of in that role. Has that helped at all?
Yeah, for sure. When you get confidence from your teammates like that, especially Kofi and Trent, the guys that have been here for a long time, DeMonte, it means a lot. And another guy that's really helped me with that is Coach Frazier. He kind of told me one day, he's pulled me aside and was like, just step up. Coach Fletch too. They're just like, step up, just be that guy. It doesn't matter how old you are. You got enough respect from your teammates and stuff like that. So just be that guy that can step up and kind of be in that leadership role as well.
Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it.
Hey, Luke, when you talk about being a quarterback, what kind of quarterback were you? Were you a four-year varsity? Were you starter? Were you scrambler, runner, thrower? What kind of quarterback was Luke Goode?
Well, I started my sophomore and junior year. I didn't play my senior year because I was already committed and I didn't want to get hurt and stuff like that. But I did not run. I stayed in the pocket and threw the ball. Did not like to get hit very much. So that was kind of my mantra.
How do those football traits help? The huddle, the leadership, it's just it came natural to you, or football that allowed it to grow?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I would say my leadership definitely derived from football. Being the quarterback here, obviously the leader of the team, got to lead the whole offense and stuff like that. But another thing that I really attribute to football is kind of my toughness. I really try and play with toughness out there. Don't really let anybody trying out tough me on the court. And that's something that I attribute to football, being in practice every day, getting hit and stuff like that. I think it definitely translates. And then another thing is, this is kind of what I tell people: as a quarterback, you have to have good footwork. So I think that kind of translates as well from my quarterback game, knowing the drops and stuff like that, to being able to play defense, move my feet, all this stuff like that. So I think being a two-sport athlete in high school, regardless if it's football or not, will attribute to a lot of good things in the sport that you're focusing on at the next level.
I asked you earlier, I'm from Peoria, where Matt Roth is kind of a legend.
Oh, yeah.
You worked with Matt a lot. What was your role with Matt, your relationship, and then how much has he helped you adjust to Big Ten basketball?
Yeah, Matt is one of my biggest mentors growing up. I've been working out with him, doing workouts with him since, I think, 8th grade year now. So having a mentor like that and somebody look up to like that, it's been huge. I mean, he kind of went through the same path as me, grew up in Illinois, actually went to an Indiana school, so we kind of flip-flop there. But a lot of people could see his game in me a little bit. Shooter likes to shoot the ball. So just being able to relay information from him, get some advice from him, and just being able to kind of see what he did growing up, being able to watch him, and then after that, learning from him. It was definitely a cool thing. And he's been nothing but great to me. So I'm blessed to have Matt in my life in that role.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Luke. You obviously grew up a pretty big college basketball fan, so I'm curious about how much you know about going into Carver Hawkeye Arena and how difficult it can be to go into that place and come out with a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great program this year. They got a really good team, obviously, and Coach McCaffery's a great coach. So going in there, I think Coach Underwood said he hasn't won in there yet since he's gotten the job. So that's something that we take personally, and our team's ready for the challenge.
And then when you kind of go in there as a freshman, obviously it's your first road Big Ten game, but have you been at any other Big Ten arenas to see what an environment's like for an opposing team that's coming in trying to get a win?
Yeah, I've taken, obviously during my recruitment period, I've taken plenty of visits to other Big Ten schools, and the environment is electric. It's crazy. All the Big Ten teams really care about their schools, and that's one of the reasons why I picked Illinois too, because the Big Ten is such a basketball-focused conference for the most part, and all the games that I went to, regardless if it was Illinois or not, it was just the passion for the fans and everything. And obviously, when we go to another stadium, other arenas, it's going to be the same for that. So I just know that the Big Ten schools really care about their basketball, and the environment is going to be crazy tomorrow. So,
thanks, Luke.
Yep.
Luke, I wanted to just ask you about your back and the spasms that you were dealing with in Kansas City. And do you feel like you've kind of crossed the threshold and gotten through that, or is it something you may have to just constantly deal with throughout this year?
Yeah, I'm blessed with a lot of great people around me that can help me out. I had a little bit of an issue with back spasms. Since then, it's been great. I know, obviously, I played in the last few games against UTRGV and then now against Rutgers, but it feels great. Back's almost 100%, and I'm ready to keep going.
Was it something you've dealt with before you got here, or is that was that a new one and you had to figure out how to play, through that?
No, this was something new. We just attributed it to a lot of just wear and tear on the body. Obviously, going from high school to college, it's a big difference in workload. So I think that's something that attributed to it. But other than that, I mean, it's something new, but it's not something that'll hold me out or keep me away from playing basketball, which you guys have seen. So
thanks, Luke. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Luke, I'm curious, what's your relationship with Coach Underwood? Because I know the Rutgers game, I think you took a shot maybe he wasn't thrilled with, but then in the next time out, I think you got him laughing. So it seems to be a good balance there.
Yeah, I respect Coach Underwood with the utmost respect. Obviously, he's in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the country, if not the best. And anything that he says, obviously, I listen to. I take to heart. I take pride in being a very coachable kid. So whatever he says, I really try and take that to heart. So after a shot like that, kind of and look back on it, and you're like, why'd you do that, Luke? But he just kind of explained to me and taught me like time and situation in the game and kind of what I need to do and stuff like that. And, me understanding obviously what I need to do. So him just saying that, and then me being able to retain that information and kind of say something back. It's all just out of respect.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Luke, a lot of people have commented you don't look like a freshman when you're out there with your poise and just the trust you have from your teammates. What would you attribute that to, that you've been able to, fill right in and looked the part early on?
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest things that I tried to focus on before getting to Illinois and right when I got here was transforming my body. I knew being kind of 6'7", 6'6", being on the wing spot. In the Big Ten, there's big wings, and at any conference really, but especially in the Big Ten, there's big wings, big strong guys. So I knew that I needed to change my body and get ready for the competition in that sense. So that's something that I really focused on. Shout out to Coach Fletch. Obviously, you guys know he's one of the best in the business, and he did a great job with that. But also just a mindset. I feel like college basketball is just such a mindset. If you go into it knowing your role, knowing what you need to do for the team, and kind of where you need to be at as a player, I think that's a huge thing. And then just the confidence as well. Being a freshman, it's easy to get down on yourself. You make one mistake and you have a shorter leash than a lot of people, which is obvious for many reasons. But just having that confidence to come in every day and just know that your teammates trust you and your coach trusts you, I think that's a huge thing that attributes to being a freshman.
And you mentioned your toughness. You had that tie up against Notre Dame. I think Orange Crush in particular really appreciated that. What was that like to experience?
Yeah, I mean, I heard on I think it was on the broadcast, like this could be the moment for him that kind of gets people going, but I don't really think about it like that. I kind of just go out there and do what I needed to do. Offensive rebounding is a huge emphasis for myself. I really take pride in that. So I just went to the basket and went for the ball, and we ended up being tied up. And then you guys saw the video, Monte ran from half court, and that's just the culture here. I mean, one guy does something for the team and another guy comes to help out. So just doing stuff like that is a victory within itself. And it just makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Luke, if I could get one more on the court, how do you feel like you're progressing? Just, I mean, I know we talked before the season of how big of a jump, obviously, it is from high school to the Big Ten.
Yeah, I feel like on the court, one of the biggest things that I've gotten better at from high school is my defense. I feel like in high school, I mean, I was always the tallest guy on my team, and I would sometimes have to play the post and not guard my position, stuff like that. And coming into Illinois, I knew that coach really emphasizes defense. So really focusing on getting better and improving in that area during the season, and the off season was a huge thing for me. So in terms of on the court, I would definitely say that. And then just the knowledge of the game overall. I mean, the situations are so much more important in college basketball. You got shot clock, you got possessions, all the stuff like that. So taking that into account and just also just trying to improve my defense every day, I'd say those are the biggest things.
Thanks, Luke.